Let's talk about bullying in the Kenny Beach community. At what point is someone so obsessed with Kenny Beach that they think it's okay to go after a friend or a family member and tell them that they know better about about a person because they watched a video? I would, as a decent human being, I would never in a million years consider going after a friend or a family member who stated, "This is my brother, this is my sister, she's missing, I know this is her." Maybe I look at it and I don't see the resemblance. Well, I don't know the person. I may have watched an hour of video, but that does not make me an expert on that person. So, as a decent human being, I would never consider going after that person and telling them that they, along with, in this case, 8 family members of different ages in different areas of the country who have all stated that it's Kenny, I would never go after them and tell them that I know best. This is what he says on here. Which part of your book do you want me to say you are wrong about? You were wrong about most of it. As for Susan, now, first of all, I wasn't talking to Jeff Claw. I don't talk to Jeff Claw anymore because I have a rule now. I don't argue with toddlers, narcissists, or mentally imbalanced people. And it's that pretty much, that's my rule. As for Susan, she has never provided one bit of proof for anything. Oh, funny, I have basically text messages from family members. I have recordings from family members. I have recording from law enforcement. I have emails from law enforcement. I have a copy of the police report. I physically have talked to search and rescue. I have physically talked to the head of the missing persons division. I have over a 40-year history with Kenny Veach and his family. And he's going to say, he's going to tell me how I think, how I feel, and how I should act. As for Susan, she has never provided one bit of proof for anything that she has to say about this mystery, aside from her obvious hatred for Kenny and most other Veaches, that is. First of all, I don't have an obvious hatred for Kenny. I am angry at him for pulling this stunt and causing hikers, especially inexperienced hikers, to go out into the desert and possibly lose their life. I lost a child. I would not wish that on any mother. So that is where my anger comes from. But for him to say it is an obvious hatred, he doesn't know. He's not a psychologist. He's not a psychiatrist. Aside from her obvious hatred for Kenny Veach and most of the other, it is not Kenny in the break-in and CCTV footage of his brother and sister's store. I have proven that in my channel. No, you haven't, Jeff. You have proven you measured Kenny's face with a map. His hairline is different because his hair, he was out in the desert, and that's not how he wears his hair. If any of you want to question this, go to Kenny's Shark Tank video. It's the one where he's wearing a medieval outfit because he was in the SCA, which is Society of Creative Anachronism. And in the video, you can see Kenny downloaded that video right around the same time as his other hiking videos. And his hairline is different because Kenny has hair. Kenny has thick curly hair with a bald spot in the back. So he wears product in his hair. If you want to question the product thing, watch his video about his home where he talks about, oh, these are all the stuff I put in my bath and stuff like that. He puts product in his hair. Jeff, I'm sorry you don't have hair. Kenny has hair. I have hair, and we use product, and I can change my bangs to fit my face. If you go on my channel, I did a screenshot of it, but don't take my word for it. Look at Kenny's Shark Tank video where he's wearing the medieval outfit from the SCA, and look at his hairline and look at his face there, and tell me, does he look younger there? Of course he does. He's not out in the desert with his face windblown, sweating, his hair is all brushed back. That's Kenny in the CCTV footage. And for Jeff to think he has more knowledge of it than the investigators on the HLN who said it was inconclusive. But Jeff got I guess he got his degree in facial recognition from a Cracker Jack box, because he has no degree. He's not a psychologist. He's not a psychiatrist. He's not a facial recognition expert. All he is an obsessive bully who thinks that he needs to push his views on everybody else because he doesn't like the fact that Kenny scammed us all of us. And he says, I have proven on my channel Kenny would be 51 years old at the time. You didn't prove anything. Time proved that Kenny would be 51, not 30, like the crackhead who was looking for a cash box. Well, first of all, the 30-year-old person in the video has a bald spot. Second of all, I've tried to point this across to Jeffy. It's done in infrared. So yes, Kenny's hair does look darker. Infrared does that to people. It doesn't take a genius. Watch a video on infrared and you can see the difference. Kenny would be 51 years old at the time, not 30, like that crackhead who was looking for a cash box. I highly doubt a hoax after a decade, and I almost just completely disregard it. Well, nobody asked your opinion, Jeffy. You're not an expert. And second of all, no business would leave a cash box sitting out in the open that all they'd have to do is bust a window and climb in to get. Use some common sense. You know, and the fact that Vicky on the HLN documentary herself said, the guy really looks like my dad, but I dismiss it. Basically, she dismisses it because she just doesn't want to believe that's him. But she also stated that I love my dad and I don't want him to go to prison, and that's exactly where he would go. You don't get that upset watching a crackhead on a CCTV footage that Jeffy claims doesn't look like Kenny when his sister said it looked like Kenny. Oh, and Jeffy's excuses. Well, they haven't seen him in 20 years. Well, listen, you big dumbass. You don't know Kenny's family. First of all, Sharon and Kenny drove 1,200 miles to Texas to spend Thanksgiving with Bonnie. First of all, Sharon claims Kenny's not close to any of his family. I don't know, but driving 1,200 miles for Thanksgiving, you don't do that to somebody you're not close to. And he'd only been with Sharon 7 years. So don't come up with your crap that it's been 20 years since we've seen him. You have no idea what you're talking about. You're just an obsessive, petty little bully, and you need to stop. As for his niece, Lacey, 20 years? No. Lacey was living with Kenny in his house here in Las Vegas up until September of 2014. She told me that Kenny made claims that cash is king and he paid cash for his house. Well, we all know that's not true because it got foreclosed on. If Kenny had paid cash for that house, it wouldn't have got foreclosed on unless he got behind on taxes. And that's not what happened. I don't know who's lying there. And then Lacey physically was down here in Las Vegas with me. And she said to me, 100% that is Kenny. I don't understand why Vicky doesn't come forward and just say it's him. She said, I understand she doesn't want to get him in trouble. I understand that. But 100% is Kenny. And I have a text message from her saying that. And she saw Kenny literally September 2014. 2 months later, he was gone. Don't claim 20 years difference. Kenny's ex-wife, Diana, she was down here in 2018. And we got together. We got together in 2020. She also came down in 2012, and the whole family got together because Kenny and Diana do not have any bad blood between them. So it hadn't been 20 years since Diana had seen Kenny. Kenny's nephew Hunter, they went hiking all the time. It's all over his Facebook page. Sharon claims Kenny's not close to his family, but yet he goes hiking with his nephew Hunter. Hunter said it was Kenny. Hunter's dad, Michael, he said it was Kenny, and he was also very upset with Ray because he feels like Ray did something to Kenny. I can't get into that because I'm trying to I'm trying to respect Michael's wishes. He does not want his name blasted all over, but you know, I'm tired of the lies. So what we need to do is we need to get rid of people who are bullying. And as for you being zapped, people can believe you were zapped, but most likely you had a medical episode. It's called a silent stroke. Google it. Something like 4 to 8 million people a year have a silent stroke and they don't realize that they have one. It causes your It affects your muscles. It affects your memory. You even stated that you don't remember any of this happening. It also has a thing, I think it's called tinnitus thrombosis, which I've had personally. I may have had a stroke, but I don't know. I've had tinnitus because I worked in around diesel trucks. Tinnitus thrombosis causes like a beating of almost like a drum in your head, and it's from your eardrum, and that explains away your little blast sound. And as for your walking, you're not Usain Bolt. If you try to say, "Hey, I did the 40 meter," um, I didn't do the 40 meter as fast as Usain Bolt. Well, you know what? You're not trained as well as Usain Bolt. So you comparing your time to other hikers is just ridiculous. Go get a CAT scan. You can find out if you had a silent stroke. I watched a woman. She was 64 years old. She literally folded up her legs, Indian style, and sat down. Hopefully that's not offensive to anybody. Sat down in front of a mailbox and got up in slow motion and walked back. And she's talking the whole time. She didn't realize that she had had a stroke. And most of all, silent stroke. This is not the type of stroke where where you start slurring your words and you can't raise your arm and the side of your face droops. That's a different type of stroke. This is called a silent stroke. It affects your muscles. It can even affect your bladder. Most likely he could have pissed himself while he was out there and didn't realize it. And it happens when you're under exertion, which he was hiking. He doesn't want to listen to that. He would rather think that aliens went, zapped him, and he took a picture, zapped him again, he took a picture. I could be wrong on that, but he claims he was zapped numerous times and it was aliens. I think, me personally, if aliens zapped me and they came to Earth looking for intelligent life and they had to zap me that many times, I think I'd take that as an insult that they weren't finding intelligent life and they moved on. So stop with the bullying. Stop pretending like you know what you're talking about, because you don't. That was Kenny in the CCTV footage. Oh, and that's another thing he said. I dissuaded the police. I dissuaded search and rescue. Okay, if I can dissuade a cop, then he shouldn't be a cop, because they have minds of their own. We all know that. As a matter of fact, most of the time, cops do not want to listen to you. But Detective Downing, when I called him the day after the CCTV footage aired, and I told him I was very unhappy with the documentary, and he said, why? He said, because of you, the case is open, and we know that as of July 15th, 2018, Kenny Veach is alive. Because of this broadcast went national, somebody's going to be hard-pressed to try to declare Kenny dead and try to claim any life insurance. To this day, we do not know if there is any life insurance. We don't know if it's even been claimed, because, as they say on the HLN documentary, experts that didn't get their degree from Cracker Jack's box, I can't even say that. Experts say it would be very difficult to find out if there was a life insurance policy. So don't claim you know anything. I'm tired of your bullying. Go find somebody else to bully. Go become obsessed with somebody else. People that do things like you are the same ones who break into Sandra Bullock's houses and Taylor Swift, and they come after them because in their mind, they think they have a relationship with that person. This person thinks he knows more about Kenny than his entire family because he watched a video. This is scary. This needs to stop.